The economy's changing in a way that it's turning on employees again. People are staying in jobs they don't like because they're seeing the writing on the wall of what the next year is going to entail. So it's really hard to navigate leadership in this changing environment. It's really sad to watch.
How can you help us, though, continue to help you? First, please subscribe to the channel. Like us. If you listen to the audio version, leave us a 5-star review wherever you can. If you see our posts, please share those posts, share the content, and link back to our law firm website, which helps us to continue our SEO marketing and grow our firm and help small business owners. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm Mitch Beinhaker, your host. If you are listening on your favorite directory, leave us a 5-star review whenever you can. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, we've been trying to beef up the video. That's really where we're kind of focusing everything these days. That's where the commercials are. That's where everything is. Subscribe, like the channel, and let's keep building that subscriber base because it helps us. It helps connect people like Mark with you and all kinds of good stuff. As I always say, if you are listening to the show, remember that the things that we discuss are for entertainment purposes only. There's not a guarantee of success or advice of any kind, so please don't construe it that way. If you're going to make decisions based on anything here on the show, always check with local licensed professionals before doing so. Mark, thanks for coming on the show. I didn't even ask you off the mic. Where are you located?
I'm outside of Washington, D.C. in a little town called Leesburg, Virginia.
Oh, Leesburg, sure. Okay, so we're both East Coast boys, so that's good. So same time zone. And why don't you take it away and talk about your background? Because I know you have a pretty interesting story, and then we'll get into all the coaching you're doing now. And, you know.
I just learned, so since everything's a disclaimer and then I have to be entertaining, this is for entertaining purposes.
Yes, this is for entertainment purposes.
Right? And we were joking when we started, why do people have me on their stages? Why do people have me on their podcasts? And somebody always has some kind of a story that makes their later success more interesting than it would be. Like if I grew up in a very stable home and had a very stable childhood and young adulthood, my success wouldn't be that interesting to me anyway.
You might not even be doing what you're doing.
Right. So, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. It was the fact that, I had undiagnosed ADHD as a kid. Like back when I was a child,
I'm sure a lot of us did.
We didn't talk about that. We were just a pain in the ass.
Right. You're a slow reader.
Right. And later on in life, I learned I have no executive function in my brain. It doesn't light up. But at the time, what it looked like was I was an alcoholic and a drug addict and a sex addict. And the only jobs I could hold were bartender, where I could do cocaine with my, clientele.
Wow.
Right? That was once I actually quit drinking and quit cocaine, I got fired. I was best bartender in New Haven, Connecticut in the newspaper. And then I quit those things and got fired immediately.
And became a bad bartender because
I was no longer fun.
Sober. Right.
But what that actually was a 10-year stint from high school until I was about 27, where everything got exhausted and I could no longer even bartend. And I was homeless and I was living in my truck. Wow. And my brother lived here in Washington, D.C., owned a bunch of restaurants, was kind of a little bit famous here. And back then, again, you didn't have Venmo, and I was trying to borrow money from him. And we couldn't even figure out Western Union and wiring money. So he says, just drive to DC. You've been driving all over the country in your truck, drive to DC.
You're living in your car anyway.
So I had, I remember I had a guitar, a camera, and a jar full of change in the back of my car. Those were my prized possessions in my life. And I drove across country.
Where were you at this point? Where were you?
I was in Seattle.
You really drove across the country.
Because I got thrown out of where I was living in Colorado. And when I got thrown out the last time I went to Albuquerque, I waited tables with this young lady who I had a crush on, and she moved to Seattle. So I decided I was going to move to Seattle to see if I could find her. There was no way, that was not a thing, but that was how sane I was. By the time I got to DC to borrow money from my brother, I was, I remember weighing in at the gym at 135 pounds.
Wow. How tall are you?
5'7". I'm not tall, but 135 pounds.
That's light. Yeah.
Is little. And what I learned was my brother and his friends were sober. So he was in the restaurant business, and all his friends were like just the beautiful people of DC. And in the late 80s, AA became a big thing, and people just started getting sober. Mm-hmm. So when I came to town, he said, "You're going to go to AA meetings with me and NA meetings. You're going to enroll in college. Okay. You can live with me, and you're going to go to the gym and you're going to run. And I'm like, I've got nothing else to do. Like, I don't know where to go.
Right.
So I just kind of hung out with his friends, and we went to AA meetings, and, I ate at his restaurants for free, and I got a job as a waiter.
Right.
I started going to college.
Because now you're hanging out with the right people.
I'm hanging out with the right people.
Yeah, the
These
right
people,
influences.
and because I was his little brother, they just kind of enveloped me in their world.
Yeah.
And
you were lucky, right?
I went from being an extroverted bartender to very introverted.
Okay.
Sobriety just changed. It changed my Myers-Briggs, because I remember doing it, before I stopped drinking, and I was an extrovert, and afterwards, and every time I've ever taken it since, I'm a rabid introvert.
Well, that's what they said. They say cocaine does to you and alcohol does to you. It's that it makes you an extrovert and it opens you up, and you lose your inhibitions. And
dude,
right?
I've never been happier than when I was on cocaine. Like there's a reason people do cocaine.
Yeah, right.
Like, honest to God, I'm a happy guy, but
right,
those few hours on cocaine.
Yeah.
That's
right. And I guess if you were with the wrong people, you could easily, as an addict, fall right back into that world, right? So it's probably good that you went from Seattle to Washington all the way across the country. Now you got away from wherever you were, a new environment.
100%.
Well, you're lucky, right?
Right, and so nobody I knew like it just was not a thing.
Right.
So fast forward, I'm taking college classes. I wind up getting married. I wind up having kids, and I decide that I want to get out of the restaurant business. So I'm in my mid-30s, and all I've ever known was the restaurant business. All my family's ever been in the restaurant business. And I got a job as a salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time I was outside of.
What was your major in college? Just business, marketing? What?
I didn't have a college. I was still taking 1, 2, 3
Oh, you're still taking some more classes? Okay.
I didn't get my college degree until my 40s.
Okay.
I became a millionaire before I got my college degree.
Yeah, that's probably a better order to do it in, but yeah.
So I after I got my first sales job, and again, I was shy and I was scared, and it was really hard for me. And my job was to sell computer training at the time, and I had to make 60 phone calls a day.
Okay.
I was terrified to pick up the phone. Terrified.
Right. Yeah. I was like that too. I didn't want to do
is I would put it every time I made
this was cold calling, right? The worst kind of sales you can absolutely imagine. Right? I did that too. I never wanted to do it again.
And what I did was I wanted a Ford Explorer. I wanted an Eddie Bauer Ford Explorer or something.
Yeah, those are nice.
And that was like a dream. Like I could never get one of those. I made $26,000 a year as a waiter. Now I made zero. I was on only commission. What I did was I put $1 in a jar every time I made my 60 calls. And if I didn't make my 60 calls, I wasn't allowed to listen to the radio on the way home. Like I was doing anything I could
to punish yourself, to make yourself do it.
And then there was like I was about to get fired. And these were the kind of jobs where they hired 10 people.
Yeah.
And maybe one or two stuck.
Yeah. They just churned through them. They didn't care. Were these like disc sets? You had to sell this set that somebody.
No, you can't. This was way back when, and you would come in and you would take a Word class, a Word Perfect class, an Excel class. That's Lotus. Okay. We still had Lotus 1, 2, 3.
Lotus 1, 2, 3. I remember the Lotus 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
But the way we sold it was we gave away a class, so I could call people and give away a class, and something clicked. I stopped selling computer training and I started giving away classes. When the people came in and I would meet the people, every time I met a person, I'd make a sale. And I learned.
As opposed to doing it on the phone where you didn't have any rapport, any connection with people. Right. Okay.
And then all of a sudden, it took me 2 months to go from almost getting fired to being the #1 sales guy. Because I learned that something about my relationship skills had people trust me. And when people trusted me, I was able to sell.
Yeah. And that's very hard to put forth on a phone call with people who don't know you,
It was so hard. And then, I saw, I went to a tech show and I saw a product that I was just fascinated by, talked that company into hiring me.
What was it? Do you remember?
Oh yeah. It was the smart board.
The
smart board was a whiteboard.
Oh yeah. I remember those.
Write on it.
Yeah.
It would
Right.
download to the computer.
They
It was
still have them in schools. A lot of the teachers have them in the classrooms now, and it's become a big thing. Yeah.
right. So it was magic. But what they had was a projector where they were playing solitaire with cards and moving cards with their finger.
Right.
And
It
I
was
was like,
like the first interaction computer kind of
right? And I'm
screen.
like, I could sell that shit. I
Yeah.
can sell that.
Yeah.
And
Because
I
you're a
taught them
cellular
into
guy.
a job.
Okay.
And next thing I know, I made I made us so by the way, I went from making $26,000 a year
Right.
to making $50,000 a year.
With the new
Um,
job.
with no with the sales
Oh, with
job.
the right, because you made it work. Right.
Then
Okay.
this new job,
Yeah.
I started making sales. I went to $100,000 a
Right.
year.
And there were bigger ticket items, right? You're selling, it's a bigger, right.
Bigger
Okay.
ticket items. Next thing and I remember when I married my wife at the time, I told her I may never be anything more than a waiter.
Right. Well, at least you're honest.
You should like you should know that if you marry me, and she was okay with that. So then I'm making some money, and then I start selling this product, and then I was selling Toshiba LCD projectors, and this was when
Mhm.
that was a new thing.
Yeah. They're like those standalone things. Yeah.
And I sold into the Marine Corps, and I sold $1.5 million worth of projectors into the Marine
How
Corps.
did you do that?
Again, there's a piece of technology on it so digital cameras are, we have them on our phones now.
Now, right.
Digital cameras, then you had to use an overhead projector, if you remember, with transparencies back then.
Yeah.
So this projector had like had a digital camera arm on it, and I went to the Marine Corps. I went to this classified place where you couldn't see the audience. You couldn't see. So when you're doing your presentation, you can't see the audience because they're all
Blind.
spooks.
That's
They're all
crazy.
spooks.
Yeah.
And this, and this is supposed to, these are supposed to go over to Iraq.
Right.
And
Oh, okay.
and everybody's doing their presentations on their things. I come up with my Toshiba projector. I take a map, and I put up the digital camera. I show the map on the digital camera. All the generals come out of the dark and come look at this projector, and they ordered them on the spot. And I sold the largest sale in Toshiba's history.
Now, how did you get in there?
It was
like
it was just a bid. It was just a bid that they put out for LCD projectors.
And you found the bid somehow, and then
we were put on the bid. And
okay. So it was a request for proposal. You put the bid in. They said, "All right, we're going to hear all the bidders." And
right.
Okay.
And they didn't add this camera was not on the, because nobody knew it existed.
Right. It wasn't part of the thing.
I just flipped up the camera, because I knew it was the coolest thing I've ever seen, and they bought it. And that's how my career has gone. I finally, then I went from $100,000 to $200,000 a year. Right.
Okay.
Now I'm making $250,000 a year. I'm VP of sales of this company.
This is in what year?
1998.
Because that was a lot of money.
That was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
And so like I'm having whiplash. Now remember, a few years before this, I'm the homeless guy.
Yeah, no, I understand. A few years. It only took a couple of years to get to.
It only took a few years.
Wow, really turned it around.
So again, I'm still like inside. I have this this imposter syndrome thing.
Yeah,
it's not just syndrome.
Anxiety. Yeah,
like it's like I am an imposter.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine was working at one of the Silicon Valley tech companies, and he asked me to come work with him. He said, "Let me teach you to actually sell, learn how to do enterprise sales, learn how to do these things."
Tech sales.
And so I get a job. I go to work with him. And what I find is everybody in this business are ex-lacrosse players and prep school guys, and like just the kind of people who intimidate and scare the hell out of me. Right. Again, I'm like, I'm the shy, introverted, like they're hard drinking, hard partying and everything.
Yeah. Well, that's why they pick them, right? Because they're driven, they're athletes. It doesn't mean they could sell, but they at least know they're extroverts, right?
Right. And they all look alike.
Yeah, of course.
And I, like I'm a short Jewish guy. I didn't look like these guys.
Right.
Anyway,
I'm the same way. I'm not short, but I am Jewish.
I excel at this job. And then I sell a giant marquee company name, and all of a sudden I'm on the map. I'm being interviewed by the CEO of the company, all this stuff. And then my career is just on fire. And for years, so I'm married, I have 2 kids, we buy $1 million house, I'm driving a sports car, like I'm living the
Did
life.
you
I went,
get the Eddie Bauer edition of the Explorer?
no, I got an Acura TL, which was at that point.
That's even better.
I did wind up getting a Ford Explorer once.
Once.
I changed
So you
cars every two.
surpassed the dream like
I
before you got
surpassed the
to it.
dream.
Right,
Yeah, I
right, right.
surpassed the dream. I I have had every car I've ever wanted. I change cars every 3 years,
Nice.
so it's not good. It's not good. I don't recommend it for anybody.
Oh, if
It,
you
it
lease, it
satisfies the
forces you to
ADHD, right?
right, right.
Uh, I was paying cash for them, and then I'd sell
Oh,
them.
and
So
then
it was
selling them again?
not
Well, that's
not,
crazy. They
not
must
good.
just lease and makes you come and get the car and they bring you another one.
Right. So,
Yeah.
but the piece that happened was somewhere in my 40s. I got my college degree in my 40s. I'm the community chair for the Boy Scouts. I'm third grade basketball coach. Like I'm the shit. In my, and all of a sudden, my wife and I are fighting a lot.
Hmm.
We're just fighting all the time.
Why?
Again, at the time, I didn't know what was going on.
Okay.
I know in hindsight.
Yeah.
So this is where my
Is that too personal of a question?
no, I'll tell you why, but I don't want to tell. I didn't know what was happening at the time, so I'll go in hindsight in a sec.
Okay.
Because this is the midlife thing, right?
Yeah.
Drives and motivations that get us to success. So my drive and motivation was to prove I wasn't the homeless guy. To prove, like I outworked. I was just Johnny on the spot
Right.
for everybody. And I didn't do the internal work to handle this imposter syndrome, the trauma of childhood, all the trauma of being homeless. I didn't do any of that work. And what I find with anybody who's uber super successful, it's usually an unhealthy drive that pushes them to
Right.
that success. And
Yeah.
in midlife, that starts to crack. And it was cracking for me. All of a sudden, I was having panic attacks. And I was getting sick all the time and super sick all the time. And I couldn't sell anymore. I remember I'd be in meetings and I'd be presenting, and then I would feel hives start to come out. And I would get hives on my face
During the right in the middle
during
of
a presentation, and I'd have to run out of the room because my face would it was so horrible. I actually talked to one of the
you're like having psychosomatic allergic reactions. Yeah.
And again, I didn't know what was happening, and I was getting
Right.
sicker and sicker and sicker. So I wanted my wife and I separated. I was suicidal. I was depressed. I wanted to die. I was sick all the time. My career just was in the toilet, and I couldn't sell anything. I didn't, and it was stone cold sober. I was like, what did I do? And I'm praying, and I'm like, God, what did I do?
Right.
Again, in hindsight, I understand this is midlife.
Yeah, but that's always hindsight, right?
This happens. So let me finish the story.
Yeah.
I heard a guy on the radio talk about being able to run marathons, and he says everybody can run. And I was sitting in the parking lot of a doctor's office trying to figure out what was wrong with me. He says anybody can run. I said, I think I'm going to die within a year, and I need to do something drastic. So I made a decision that I was going to run the Marine Corps Marathon. And I couldn't run a mile. I was so sick. I called this guy and I said, would you please coach me to run the marathon? He was in California and there was no Zoom at the time. So he coached me over the phone. And he said, it'll take you about 2 years to train. I said,
Where'd you find this guy?
I just heard him on the radio.
Oh, okay.
He was just like on NPR talking about ultra marathons.
There you go.
Stu Middleman. And he said, it'll take you 2 years. I said, I have 8 months. Like that's when I have to run the marathon. He said, okay, let's do this. So I made the decision that I was going to make $1 million that year to give to my ex-wife, because I really think I'm going to die. I'm going to give $60,000 to charity, and I'm going to run the Marine Corps Marathon. And just as I made that declaration, I got a new sales job, and they gave me an engineer who I knew years ago, who was a good friend, who I found out was sober also, and we struck up a partnership. So that year, I ran the Marine Corps Marathon. I made the $1 million. I gave $60,000 to charity.
How did you end up with the sales job? Was it something you were looking for? Or they knew of you and found you?
They knew of me, and they called me and said, "Would you come work there?"
Just precipitate, yeah.
And I remember even saying to the guy who tried to hire me, I said, "Look, dude, I don't have it anymore. I'm not good. I can't do this." He goes, "Mark, you are one of the best salesmen I've ever known. Come work for me." I'm like, if you say so, like, I don't know. And
Wow.
it all just all fell into place. So at the end of this year, my career's on fire again. My ex-wife is starting to come around. My kids are starting to settle in. And I wound up, while I was training for the marathon, I listened to every self-help book known to man on, in my
Yeah.
ears. I listened to every spiritual book. I prayed, I meditated, I journaled, I did everything I could to pull myself out of this depression. And so at the end of the year, everything was different. And now, fast forward a couple of years, I'm now in my company. I'm in another company, and I'm sending out a newsletter to everybody in the company on different ways to break out of your prison, to every self-help thing that
You just did that on your own because
I
it
just did it on my own. And then
yeah.
I got a call from the CEO that said, "Would you please stop it? You're annoying."
That's funny.
I'm like, but the people don't understand. And then a
Right.
friend of mine bought a Bentley, a
Okay.
$250,000 Bentley. And he says, "Come ride in my Bentley." And I was like, "I'm not impressed by cars, dude." He says, "Come
Right.
ride." I got in the Bentley and I was like, "Holy shit, I am impressed by this car." Like there was a refrigerator in there. It did
Nice.
massages. Like it was the lacquer on the, like it was nice. He died 2 weeks later.
Oh, God.
Uh,
Just no, he wasn't
Hard
sick
living,
or anything.
hard living,
Just
just hard living, just
just
hard living. And what I realized was that what happened to me, this midlife crack in the armor, was happening to everybody. That we had all made an agreement to be in the 1%.
right.
And if it cost us our relationships, if it cost us our health or our mental health or addictions or anything like that to keep us going, that it was a worthy price to pay.
Right. Just all drive.
And I just watched this over and over again. And the way I became a coach was also kind of a serendipitous thing. But I wound up being contacted by one of the authors that I read his book about coaching, and became a coach. And when I became a coach, that's when I understood the midlife thing. That's what I understood, that the drives and motivations that drive you to success are going to turn on you if you don't
Right. They're not
listen.
the ones that are going to keep you there.
If
Right.
you don't listen to the whispers when you're in your late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s of, look, you need to find a different way of doing this. And I learned the guys who win the bike races, those
Mhm.
long distance bike races. If I'm trying to remember the name of the race in France, in Europe, the people who win these races
Tour de France.
are usually the Tour de France are usually the older people
Right.
who know how to conserve energy, who know, like, who don't try
Have the
and
life experience. Right.
right. And life is telling us this all the time, over and over again. You still can be successful, you still can be driven, but you have to do things differently.
Right.
So now that I'm a coach, all my clients are like in their early 30s, early 40s. And when I tell them I'm the ghost of Christmas future, I said, like this, I love success. I love money. I love nice things. I love all those things, but it's not worth it if, like, you're going to lose the love of your life.
Right.
Like, I know you love your wife. I know you love your husband. I know you love your family and everything, but
Right.
you're going to lose them if you keep doing this. And not for any fault of your own, but because you're in the habit of what everybody else is in the habit of, putting things
Right.
first that don't matter.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
human nature.
I'm 63 years old. If I'm in better shape than you are, there's something wrong,
Right.
right? Like, so we have to go to the gym. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to take vacations. We have to take time off. And I have to say, almost all my clients get promoted and are more successful. But more importantly, when I meet wives, when I meet the husbands, when I meet the families, they tell me the difference in their lives from before or after we have these conversations. And that's kind of why I do what I do, because of that background that I had, because I had the crack in the armor that was so dramatic.
Right.
That it got my attention, and I can tell this story so that it's interesting. Like, we start the podcast with this dramatic story.
Yeah.
People listen to me,
Sure.
and I can show them where the cliffs are going to be. Uh, so when I go through all of your episodes, everything you do for entrepreneurs, how many people went into entrepreneurship because they wanted to be the masters of their own destiny.
Maybe you're getting your calendaring from one software and you're invoicing from another. Evenue is a platform that we use as one of our sponsors to run our entire business. And there's other features like auto payments and integrations with QuickBooks. Visit evenue.com, EVONUE.com to learn more. There's also a link in the show notes. And be sure to tell them that the Accidental Entrepreneur referred you. This podcast is brought to you by our affiliate sponsor, iEmployee. iEmployee is a virtual assistant service that hires almost anyone for any role in your company right out of the Philippines. Most roles range from $7 to $9 an hour for highly skilled and experienced VAs. And whether you need an executive assistant, social media manager, video editor, customer service, sales, you name it, they have it. We use iEmployee for our VA services, from editing and promoting the podcast to all the PR and promotion of our law firm. iEmployee acts as a virtual field supervisor on the back end with live video monitoring and reports on a daily basis with screenshots of your VA's workday, and along with complete HR and payroll duties. No more paying for overpriced and underqualified workers. There's a link in the show notes to get a 1-week free trial, and I encourage you to take advantage of it.
Yeah, very few. Matter of fact, a lot of them fall into it. They don't know whether it's like when we're in our 20s, we're driven, we're looking, we're doing, we're going to succeed and all, but we don't have the, I mean, maybe it's because we're young and we have an adolescent brain or whatever. We don't have this holistic view of what our life could look like. And very often, not just you, but me and everyone else, right, is you can't like replace life experience. I mean, you can try, like if somebody meets you in their 30s, it helps them, right? Because then they don't have to make all the mistakes you made. You're trying to help them, right? Everyone makes small mistakes. You'd like to avoid the big ones. So I think that's one of the problems. And you look back, I've always said this, if I knew when I was 25, what I know now when I'm almost 50, I'll be 59 in December, I would do things differently. But I'm not sure if my brain was able to accept the stuff, because people probably were telling me things that I know now, but it was bouncing off my forehead,
But people weren't talking about it then. Both my sons say, "Dad, I know you're a coach, but because I'm trying to push them to be a little bit more ambitious, health insurance.
We all are. Right, exactly.
And they say, "Dad, I work to live. I don't live to work." I'm like, yep, that's healthier.
Yeah, and that's that's the difference between the rest of the world and the United States, right? We live to work. We have to work to live, and that's why they have, they don't take it as seriously, and it's more of a lifestyle. I think that's what I've seen. Like, we don't have siesta in this country.
Most of my clients are international. I coach in Europe, and I coach in Canada. Right. I coach all over this country, and the difference in lifestyle, the difference in center of gravity.
Yeah.
In Europe. And in Canada, most of my people are in finance. They're a little crazy.
Closer to us.
They're a little closer to us. The people
North America.
The people in London are a little closer to us.
Yeah.
But they still have a center of gravity that life is important, that play is important. But here we don't. We make sure it's work hard, play hard, and we make sure that we're bringing our laptops on. It's a badge of honor to bring our laptop on vacation.
Yeah.
I work in the mornings and I have fun with my family in the afternoons.
Right. I know.
And it's eating away at us. And then we take what's happening in the macro environment, the political environment. It doesn't matter what you believe in the political environment. It's stressful. It's in the air. It's in our. It's
especially nowadays. God.
Right. So
and talk to relatives. It's stressed every relationship I have.
You go into a restaurant and they have the news on in restaurants. Yeah. You can't get away from any of this. So our bodies, which carry an allostatic load. An allostatic load is that level of stress you have in your body at any given time. Okay. And when our allostatic load goes too high, we break down.
Right.
Everybody's allostatic load is on high. And that's so when it's high, you're in fight or flight.
Right.
Most people are walking around in a little bit or a lot bit of fight or flight just as their baseline.
Oh yeah.
They don't have any room to give people mulligans. They don't have any room to listen to other opinions. They don't have any room for anything. So that's why we're all just triggered. So
Yeah.
so take that into leadership, which is what I spend my time on. Leaders have to figure out a way to get that allostatic load down so that they can deal with the insanity of leading other human beings, right?
Yeah.
And the only way a leader is going to be effective in this environment is if they take care of their own psyche, of their own allostatic load, so that
Right.
when they walk into a room, the people in their organization can borrow their nervous system.
Right. Well, I think that's the problem, right? If they're, I've never heard that term before, but if your allostatic load's very high, you're probably portraying it on other people. Like we absorb energy from everybody, just like we give it out. And I think so. It's more like being the kind of person that takes things in stride, right? Like where you're less affected by things. I mean, I don't love being an attorney from the standpoint of if I could go back, would I do it differently? I might, but I have developed over 33 years of practice the skill of not overreacting to anything because I don't deal with just my problems. I deal with, right, with all of my clients' problems. And I can't even tell you, and I've told my wife this, but I don't give her examples. How many things happen during a day that I don't tell her about because 9 out of 10 of them are going to be resolved by the time I go home.
Right.
And some of them take care of themselves. And if you don't react to things, which is what we are trained to do, right? It's a defense mechanism. We're just out there, boom, boom, boom. Most of them don't. First of all, they, like you said, they don't turn out like you think they are. It's not, they're not coming at you. It's not, and most of them just resolve themselves. Like they just kind of come together. And there's our big ones you got to deal with. But yeah, I think that's definitely a learned skill and a skill that you can transfer to
It's
other
a practice
people.
skill, right? It's a practice skill,
right?
because and again, you can practice it in the moment, but the really great leaders practice it beforehand.
Right.
They have a morning routine.
Proactively.
They have a morning routine. They have some
Yeah.
contemplation practice. They have a way where they let off steam. So
Right.
today, right after this, my ex-wife, my son, and his fiance were going to meet about wedding plans,
Oh,
and
very nice.
everybody's on edge.
Yeah.
Everybody's super on
You
edge.
have a good relationship with your ex-wife?
Great relationship with my ex-wife.
Okay, good. So that you don't have that stress.
Yeah, no, we learned how to be phenomenal.
I never find a reason for that. Like, all right, listen, your relationship didn't work out for whatever reason, good, bad, or indifferent, but it doesn't serve you or her, right? At
It doesn't
all
serve the kids.
to just be great. And I know people that just destroying themselves. Forget about what they're doing to the other people. They're just destroying themselves. For what? For what? Like there's no logic to it. I know emotion is hard, but
No, it's very hard, and forgiveness of yourself and
because
forgiveness
it hurts, you feel, yeah, that's another
100%.
episode, I guess.
But what I do know is I told them, I said, I'm coming into this meeting with the three of you as Coach Mark, not Mark or Dad Mark.
Right.
Coach Mark is going to come in, and I'm going to let them borrow my nervous system to work through the landmines of some of this stuff, because there's some contention there.
Yeah.
And I know how I have to show up. So I'm getting myself set so I can show up. If dad showed up, he has some other things to say. Everybody shut up, be grateful. This is the way
Right.
it's going to be.
Exactly.
That's not going to help.
No, it doesn't help at all.
Right. So that's what I teach leaders is how do you prepare? How do you show up for the way the room is going to need you to be in any given situation? And how can you have range when you don't know what kind of a room you're walking in, so that you can be the person once you see what happens?
Right. Well, I think that is the difference, right, between a leader and a dictator, somebody who dictates what you should do. And the leaders are the ones that say, how should I show up for everyone else? I think that's a good comment that you made, versus the ones that you need to do this, and this is how you do it, and this is the only way, and empower the people around you, which I also find reduces your own stress. Like, you know what I mean? Like the really successful entrepreneurs, I'm sure the ones you've worked with and the ones I've had on this show, are successful because of the people they keep around them and how they empower them to work and gain ownership in in what they do and feel good about it, right? Nobody ever wants to do something because you told me to do it, It really deep down, you want to do it because you thought of the idea, or you were helpful, or you had input. I think we have to deal with our children that way too, right? You want to empower them to make their decisions and support them to do it. As much as we want to pick them up all the time and don't do that, and be careful of this and make sure you look like this. You got to put them out there, and because they got to gain ownership in their decisions anyway, right? If they don't, they'll just feel like you just push them to do something, even if it's good. They're not going to feel that way, right? The kids are going to be resentful, and they're going to be like, my dad just pushes me around. And then, like you said, maybe you don't become that person who's the introvert inside and has all those issues because you have started to make your own decisions.
Hmm.
I find a lot of you said you're working with like 30s and 40-year-olds. I find a lot of the 20-year-olds, like the millennials and stuff, they are kind of realizing that, maybe the companies need me more than I need them type of an attitude. And they want to have more flexibility in their life. And they don't want to go to the office every day. And, and I think hopefully, maybe slowly but surely, the generations are changing. I don't know. Maybe
the economy's changing in a way that's it's turning on employees again.
Yeah.
People are staying in jobs they don't like because they're seeing the writing on the wall of what the next year is gonna entail. So
Yeah.
it's really hard. It's really hard to navigate leadership in this changing environment.
Yeah.
And it's really sad to watch.
Yeah. I mean, it's raising everyone's stress level. It's hard.
When unemployment was low and people were, just
Jobs
desperate
are thrown at them, right?
Yeah, just good for people. It really was a great place to teach leadership because it was leadership that was going to have you retain people.
Right.
And now it's fear that's having you retain people. So it's a very different environment.
Right. Which could swing the pendulum the other way. I mean, there was times where I was talking to recruiters about stuff where they were literally teaching the employers how to brand their companies for the employees, not just for their customers, because, the employees wanted, like you said, to work from home 2 days a week and have flexibility and remote, which I think we can all do now. It's just a different world. The world shifted with COVID. I mean, it just really did, probably over a 15-year period that took 2 years. Would have normally taken 15 to 20 years at least.
Right.
So we do have certainly a better, control, a little bit more control over what we do. But I think you're right. Now that the job market's tightened up, then we feel like we got to be working now more hours, right? Because we're home, we go get our kids at school, then we got to go back to work and we grab some dinner. And next thing you know, I mean, I get emails from people who I know don't own companies, like they work for a title company or at 9:45 on a Saturday night. Like what is going on that these people feel compelled that they have to do work? It blows. I'm not doing brain surgery and I was going to die. I don't have to run to the emergency room and do work. So for the most part, unless you really have an emergency, I'm not really available on the weekend. That's my time, my family's time, whatever. And I think that is a practice, right? Isn't it a decision of the people that you work with who want to have a, more balanced life to make decisions like, yeah, look, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go to gym at 8:00 in the morning. I get in the office at 10 because I can choose to do that. Right. You don't have to feel like you got to be there. It's a very hard thing though.
It is hard. It takes self-worth.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of us know what to do and how to do it. It's the self-worth to be able to,
like we don't deserve it. Right.
To be, or just the fear, like, if I say I'm not available until 8:30 on Tuesdays because I go to this spin class,
right?
What if someone need? What if, like, it's just terrifying?
Right. I'm going to lose the business and I'm pissed off my clients, whatever. Yeah.
So it takes a lot of internal fortitude to become a leader, to be able to set boundaries, to be able to live your own values.
Right.
And as again, when allostatic load is up, when fear is up, it's so much harder what you want to do is you want to just make the stress go away.
Right.
And when sometimes the stress goes away with like I was talking to one of my clients and we were trying to decide whether he should go on a business trip to the Middle East. He was going to meet the CEO in the Middle East and he didn't need to go on the trip. And we were weighing the stress of not going versus the stress of going.
Right.
And because there was real stress for not going and there was real stress for not going. And we went through the self-esteem thing. We went through his value to the company and all that stuff. And he made the decision to go. because he was going to make the decision to not go to something else, right? To put the deposit in here and know that he was going to set the boundary here.
Right.
And it was the right decision, but he had to make it consciously, because unconsciously he would do both of those things and throw his own family under the bus to,
Right.
for his own fear of his value to the company.
Right. Because you live to work instead of work to live. Absolutely.
Or to not get fired.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. It's the same thing. Right. And it definitely involves a lot, a certain amount of self-awareness. But I think that the ones that are more and more successful are the ones that do work with professionals like you and other coaches.
Thank you. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, people work with me I consider myself an advisor, certainly not a coach. But I think we make better decisions when we are bouncing our ideas off other people. Like I always say I'm a better partner than I am a solo practitioner, even though I'm solo now, but I deal with a lot of other guys and they're giving me their opinions. They're asking me for my advice and vice versa. I mean, that's the way it is. I think you have to have mentors in your life and advisors and coaches, and the best ones do, or the most successful ones.
Yeah,
And to do
leadership
that.
is so lonely. It's so hard. It's so hard to get people who work for you to be partners in that, to speak their mind, to create the environment where they feel they can speak their mind,
Yeah.
tell you no, tell you you're doing
Right.
something
They're
wrong,
afraid.
and support you, and to feel supported. That's why CEO roundtables like Vistage and
Right.
things like that,
Tab and all that. Right.
they're so good, because
Yeah.
you get to bounce your ideas off of people who have no vested interest. That's why
Right.
having a coach, I have one CEO who we meet once a month, but he actually pays me so that he can call me anytime out of the blue.
Like a retainer type of thing.
Like, he just needs a 5-minute call. He says, I just got out of this meeting. I said this, and this. Was I being an asshole?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you were. He goes,
Yeah.
great, I'll go clean it up.
Right. I know, but that's somebody who's self-aware of the fact that they might not be so self-aware all the time.
Right.
I mean, that's a good thing. Right.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's interesting because my journey over the last February will be 7 years doing this, talking to people. I only really had a very small sample of just working with local clients, but now I've talked to people all over the world. And, you really start to see that if you are the kind of person that does do self, reflection and work on yourself and have a coach and eat well and take care of yourself, you don't have to be, climbing Mount Everest and winning marathons. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do to be healthy, but a lot of it's mental health, that the success that it leads to is so much more than the other way that you were going. Like, you know what I mean? It's tenfold. People think it's the other way around. Like you said, oh, you're going to lose clients if I don't do this and I don't talk to them. I'm not available. It's not you niche down in what you're doing. You're very specific about who you work with. That usually increases your income and increases your revenue and makes your life better. But people think of it as the opposite. If I only say I only do this as an attorney, all this other business is going to go the wayside. But you probably shouldn't have been doing it right to begin with, and you would decide. I find that on an ongoing basis that the people that learn, and sometimes they learn the hard way. A lot of us learn the hard way. That's why our failure rate's so high, right?
100%.
So how do you meet most of these people? You said you're working with them around the world now. You're not flying, banners over the beach in Dubai. I mean, what are you doing? Like, how are you?
I wrote a few successful books.
Okay.
I do speak. I have had a successful podcast we talked about this 800.
Yeah. Just wrapped it up recently. Right?
And all of that doesn't even match the word of mouth. I'm pretty much 100% referral business. I get a call from a CEO. Someone said, I need to talk to you, or I need you to work with this executive for me to get them to this spot. So I have a full practice. It's been full for the last 5 years, mostly from referral.
Got it. Yeah. And I always say, when you do good work for people and they refer you, and I always get, whatever, Google reviews, all that stuff. That's what I find, like the marketing that I do, the podcasting, the blogging, all that stuff just kind of supports, right, the referral, because I'm even hesitant to work with people that just find me off the internet. It's like, well, how come, whatever. And I'll do it, but I do it cautiously. to make sure that there's a fit there, right? That I'm right for them and they're right for me and so forth. But if you told them to call me, obviously, then that would have a certain clout, in terms of whatever. But I always feel that you can't, like, look, as a small attorney, I'm sure it's the same by you. Most of these attorneys, they don't market.
Mm-hmm.
They just what I call bird dog business. They're getting business from colleagues, from clients, and then they're busy, and then they stop doing anything except their work, and then it goes down, and then it's like a roller coaster. I find that, one supports the other, because then you run into somebody and you say, listen, you got to call Mitch. He'll help you out. He's in New Jersey. They check me out first, right? And they see, what is Mark full of shit, or does he really know Mitch, or whatever? So I think you gotta do both. But, there's nothing that replaces just doing good work for people and changing their life, So you do have leaders that you've worked with, executives that have said, listen, I want you to come into my company and work with these other people.
Yeah. I often coach several executives in an organization.
Nice. What's and that's all you're doing now is coaching? Because I was going to ask you.
I do workshops.
But it's all around the helping the world become a better place type of thing.
Helping people not kill themselves for success.
Yeah. What do you like the most about what you're doing now?
I love it when I get spouses calling me to tell me that I've changed their.
Oh, that's a good answer. That's a good answer.
That's the thing that chokes me up.
Yeah.
It keeps me going.
Yeah.
When someone reads something that I wrote and they send me a note and said that's what they needed to hear today, that's what I'd like my legacy to be.
You're the therapist without a PhD.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a therapist, but I've had, again, you're 59, I'm 63. I've had some life experience.
Yeah, a little bit. Now you don't. It doesn't seem to me like you coach salespeople too much.
No, I do not.
And you were very good natural. Forget about all the stuff that was going inside. You're a very good natural salesperson. How come? Why do you?
My expertise is human relationships. Right? How humans work, and how humans work in relationship. So leadership is all about relationship. And I didn't start out to become an executive suite
I understand.
coach. It's just where I've been referred and where I've had ridiculous success, and really turning things around and changing the way they show up. And it's because I know how people work, and I know how they work in relationship.
Because relationships really is why you were successful in sales. You gave the example of once you were off the phone, and you're in front of people, you could build a rapport with them. So I was just curious. I have a good friend of mine who's been on the show. He is also a coach and a motivational, and he just deals with salespeople. He wrote a book called Authentic Persuasion.
Nice.
And it's also about being authentic and showing up and whatever. And he just does salespeople. That's all he does is talk to salespeople. So I guess it's where you fit, and where you feel most comfortable. What's in the future for you? What do you got on the burner? You got more books you're reading and traveling?
I'm in the hallway. I've got some workshops coming up. I've got some speaking gigs coming up. I'm writing my next book. I just finished a bunch of stuff, marrying off my 2 kids. And,
that's a big one.
And I feel very much.
Kids?
Well, yeah, my other son just got married, so two weddings in 4 months.
Okay.
I just feel in the hallway of, I've got nothing to prove. I've had 2 amazing careers. What's next? And it has something to do with what I do, but just in the way I show up. So I'm just enjoying being in the hallway.
I mean, you definitely built a balanced life. Took a journey to get there. Most of your speaking is at corporations that bring you in to speak to their people, or
my workshops are in leadership teams and things like that. And my speaking can be anything.
You don't like set up your own event and then promote it.
No.
You're brought in to speak.
I'm too much of an introvert for that.
Well, that's a whole nother business, right? If you're going to be,
you have to pay me money to get me on a plane to go talk to people.
Yeah, that's much better. And the other way is you need a staff to set these things up and promote them and get people to sign up. It's a different.
I'd rather be the talent and just come in and show up and do something for people.
Yeah. You've given a lot of advice today, so I'll ask this question anyway, even though we probably have already said it. But if for the, most of my audience there are some C-suite, founders and executives, but most of them are small business owners trying to make their way in the world, entrepreneurs, for what that term means these days. What's your best advice to those people, getting up, going to work, and they're all struggling? What kind of things can you say to them that we
Slow
haven't
down.
already
Oh,
said?
no, 100%. Slow down, and make sure your ladder's up against the right wall. Like you couldn't work any harder. You couldn't strive any harder.
Right.
Make sure you're working and striving for the things you want, not the things you think you want. And like we're so busy.
Right. We don't even.
We're all Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner.
Right.
Not even sure it's the Roadrunner we want.
Right.
And that's the piece, is like, I don't work your ass off, work yourself into the ground. Make sure it's for the thing that you want.
Right. Yeah. We don't stop and look at ourselves and say, is this really what I want to be doing? I try and encourage that with my kids. Like, don't just stick with whatever it is you're doing because you're not happy, because you've invested all this time to do it. My kids have been making some adjustments too. So what's the best way for people to connect with you? First of all, we'll put in the show notes the links to your books. And what's the best way for people to connect with you? It's on LinkedIn, your website?
LinkedIn, or website, markjsilverman.com, mark_Silverman.com. My book, Only Tens, the first book I wrote, is free on my website. You can just get that for free. I give that away because it's super helpful to people.
All right. Well, we will put that all in the show notes. I can't thank you enough on a Friday morning for both of us.
This is perfect. This is great.
And so thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
In addition to being a podcast host, I'm also a small business attorney, mostly providing legal services in New York and New Jersey. With over 3 decades of experience, we can handle most transactional issues. So if you're watching the show and you encounter some sort of legal issue, reach out to us and visit our website, beinhakerlaw.com. Thanks for tuning into the show and for continuing to support us.